Hello and welcome back to another video. I am Angst, but you can call me Katie. Today I'd like to discuss in a two-part upload a bit about the What the Health film and veganism. The first half, is regarding the What the Health film, or rather what I managed to sit through. In this video, I will only cite my sources of information as those used in the film are not my responsibility to prove. You can find those in the description below, as well as links to all of my social medias, #shameless plug. Let's get into this, shall we?
No, damn it.
How about me?
Oh fuck!
That's so cute.
Batman's the most safe person.
So, we start off the movie with a doctor going on about how 315 million people currently live with diabetes, and it's an epidemic to the tune of 1 in 3 Medicare dollars going to a diabetic, and the same for 1 in 10 healthcare dollars. And here we have our first huge flaws. The first being that the United States, the place in which basically all of this information in the film is sourced and studied, only has just over 320 million people. He's basically taking a big, mostly arbitrary number and using it to draw you in and scare you. Keep in mind this is a common tactic throughout the entire film, so be aware. Also, just a note, Medicare is primarily the elderly, which we already know, and reservation Indians, both of which, respectively, are at an elevated risk for diabetes. Insert citations 1 and 2. This means the money could be for a broken finger all the way to an inhaler for bronchitis. Then, this same doctor dude refuses to delve into the correlation between diet and diabetes, so instead we pan over a suburb for a very typical bullshit Netflix special transition. Turn to a filmmaker and self-proclaimed recovering hypochondriac who scares us with the unrelated and anecdotal fact that his father had bypasses at age 49 and age 50, his grandfather passed away young from diabetic complications, and his other grandparents passed away from cancer. None of these things are followed by statistics in his family, age, living condition, treatments, nothing. It's literally a useless set of information to get you to go, wow, poor guy, maybe he should be careful, and then begin siding with him. He goes on to say how he took extensive preventative measures, including excessive vitamin intake, to avoid these diseases and abused WebMD as well as many other self-diagnostic books. Do not do this, ever. Self-diagnosis is the #1 way to be wrong. If you think you may have an idea, please bring it up with your GP or a specialist through a consultation. Back to the movie. Blah blah blah, more anti-fun and super health crazy habits until boom! This pile of news footage on processed meat being to blame for some cancer. They literally compare it to cigarette smoking, which is, once again, just a fantastic little scare tactic. The reality check here lies in the fact that the rate of increase for colorectal cancer due to foods like bacon is about an additional 1% over a lifetime for most people. Roughly 1 in 20 people in the United States will develop it in their lifetime, and it's been dropping for over 20 years. It can also be completely harmless in the form of a benign, or non-spreading, tumor. Insert citation 3. The bottom line is, anything in excess is bad for you. Even water can harm you if you consume too much. But the odds of that happening without you intentionally doing it are pretty slim, so we'll move on. Annoying film guy goes on to whine about how the American Cancer Society doesn't advertise this bacon cancer so-called knowledge on the homepage, and the eating healthy section even includes suggestions that people should consume these foods, like, how dare they? Or not, since we know the truth. The rate of increase on that cancer is so minimal that it's basically negligible. He then calls the ACS and throws it in their face to some dude over the phone. They then offer an interview, but it ends up getting canned after he informs the woman that he's corresponding with that it's going to be in regard to finding a correlation between diet and cancer. After his pushing for why she canceled it, the woman eventually didn't respond altogether. Somewhere in the middle of this, he makes a claim that 1 in 4 US deaths are cancer-related, which is confirmed by the CDC's through statistics gathered from 1999 through 2014. Insert citation 4. Another source says 1 in 4 of those 1 in 4 cancer deaths is lung-related, which seems a little odd, so follow me on a number journey here. According to cancer.gov, roughly 39% of men and women will be diagnosed with cancer at some point in their lifetime. Insert citation 5. So, with that, you figure that if 1 in 4 people die of cancer, since we all die eventually, and we have 39% diagnosed in a lifetime, then that extra 14% of people diagnosed won't die from cancer. Meanwhile, loads of medical sources and professionals say 90 out of 100 people are still alive 5 years after being diagnosed or having started treatment for cancer. Insert citation 6. I don't know, something in all of this cancer talk just doesn't add up to me, and while I am relatively smart and educated, unfortunately I am not a medical professional nor do I study cancer, and I can only trust what I believe is coming from credible sources. Plus, this isn't about cancer, this is about veganism and demonizing meat, so I'll leave the cancer talk here unless it resurfaces in the film. Back to the movie. We rejoin Film Dude and his blue hippie van to see Dr. Alan Goldhammer, or Goldhammer, I'm not entirely sure, the founder of True North Healthcare Center. Dr. Gold tells us that 2/3 of adults are overweight or obese. Hello, scare tactic! According to the CDC's in a 2013 to 2014 data analysis, adults over 20 were 37.9% obese and 70.7% were overweight or obese, with teens at 20.6% and elementary or middle school kids at 17.4% and younger kids at 9.4%. Insert citation 7. He claims we have an epidemic cascade of debilitating disease that's overcoming the country. Yes, he literally said that. Anyway, he says if we continue with our lifestyle choices, we won't be able to sustain this level of medical care. I'm not sure I believe that, but moving on. Cut over to Dr. Joel Kahn, a cardiologist at Kahn Center for Cardiac Longevity, who says combined, diabetes, arthritis, heart disease, dementia, obesity, and cancers affect about 70% of deaths. Well, this seems potentially sound, so I won't poke at it on the Googlebot. He says these deaths are very much related to lifestyle choices, which once again seems relatively logical. Oh hey, another cut. On to Dr. Michael Greger, a physician and New York Times bestselling author. Wait, how is that even topical here? Okay, moving on. He says by age 10 in the United States, most kids have fatty streaks in their arteries, among other shit that wasn't really topical. Remember when we said elementary and middle school kids, aka kids ages 6 to 11, were at 17.4% obese in that CDC's analysis? He's not far off, since having junk in your arteries is before obesity, but saying most kids have these beginning signs is a bit of a stretch in my opinion. Again, that is citation 7. Back to the film once more. Holy jump cuts, Batman! Cut to Dr. Milton Mills, sweet name, a critical care physician who actually says something remotely interesting. To paraphrase, we treat sick people, but we don't prevent people from becoming sick. In reality, we should be doing both, right? I mean, I think so. At least educate people on preventing things on their own. Fuck, another jump cut. Just when I was getting to like this guy. Next up, we've got Dr. Michelle McMacken, an assistant professor of medicine at NYU. She says that dietary choices trump smoking when it comes to these risks. Oh, for fuck's sake with the cuts! Now we're with Dr. Michael Clapper, or Claper, a physician and author, once again your books are not helpful here, who says if he could say something to researchers looking for the cause of diabetes, clogged arteries, high blood pressure, and obesity, he would tell them 3 words. It's the food. Well, duh. Food is the easiest way to fix or fuck up our bodies. Anyone who took a middle school science class knows this. Citation not needed. Moving on. Hey, back to Film Dude. Film Dude says in the next 25 years, 1 in 3 Americans will have diabetes. Okay, but in 2015, according to diabetes.org, only 9.4% of the American population had diabetes, diagnosed or not. So how do we go from 1 in 10 to 1 in 3 so quickly? This just seems like another scare tactic. Insert citation 8. I sat through some more nonsense till Dr. Neil Bernard comes up. He says diabetes is not caused by eating too many carbs or sugar, but it is caused by diets that leave high fat content in the blood. He claims those diets to be meat and animal-based. Basically, the fat coats the insides of your veins and arteries and prevents sugar from entering the cells like it should, and that in a nutshell is diabetes. Cut to Dr. Garth Davis, a weight loss surgeon at the Davis Clinic, who agrees, citing a study of 500,000 people where carbs were inversely related to diabetes, saying the more carbs someone ate, the less diabetes they had, but meat was strongly correlated. He goes on more, leaving us with carbs don't make you fat. Well, once again, to bring middle school science to the table, fat makes you fat. Cut back over to Dr. Bernard, who surprisingly had a point that I like. A cookie is like a Trojan horse. The sugar draws you in, and the fat or lard, lol, we don't bake with the lard on mass scales anymore, hiding in the cookie is what makes you fat, which I think is probably why we keep blaming sugary foods solely for obesity and diabetes. Sugar and fat are often paired. We cut back to one of our doctors who says if your kid gets diabetes, it automatically takes 19 years off of their life. What he doesn't say is that is type 1. Type 2 is 10 years. Type 1 is juvenile, and the one we've been discussing throughout most of this movie is type 2. So there's a little bit of a lie hiding in these doctors' statements, or the editing team fudged this for the scare factor. Insert citation 9. At this point, I'd basically had enough, and I was only 11 minutes into the film. We make a few stops with our docs, and we talk about shit that we already know. One of our doctors makes the mock, is chicken better? And says it's more of a matter of being shot or hung, which is just ridiculous and petty even for a scare tactic. We then see 1 egg a day being compared to 5 cigarettes per day. More scare tactics founded on lies and fact twisting. The reality is that eggs are a good source of omega-3s and contain some decent protein for their size. There's also good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. What's that? Time for Dr. Katie to dive in? Well, quite simply, cholesterol is a waxy substance made by the liver that is necessary for making vitamin D, hormones, and bile for digestion. There's 2 types of cholesterol, the bad, LDL or low-density lipoprotein, and the good, HDL or high-density lipoprotein. LDL can build up plaque in arteries and lead to heart disease, while HDL can take that bad LDL and send it through your liver where it's broken down and expelled from your body. Insert citation 10. If you want to get rid of LDL, you should load up on nuts, seeds, olive oil, avocado, and oily fish, as well as plenty of fiber because it helps to stop your gut from absorbing LDL, aka the bad cholesterol. Those foods can also benefit your brain health, among many other things. Citation necessarily not needed. Basic food knowledge. Google check that shit for yourself. Now that Dr. Katie has had her moment, we're not going back to this movie. I made it in 18 minutes and couldn't tolerate it a moment longer. The root message is clearly to turn to veganism. Clear as day. They keep leading you into vegan habits and away from anything involving meat consumption. Final verdict? Far too many lies, far too many scare tactics. This is the Gwyneth Paltrow of documentaries. I'm out. Check part 2 for facts against veganism. That'll be posted pretty soon after this video. That's gonna be it for this. Like, comment, and share as you please, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.